Hello and welcome to my brand new podcast. I'm Nicky Raby and I'm thrilled that you're joining us. I do lots of things. I'm an actor, coach, writer, speaker and a mum. And in my coaching work, I work with creatives, personal brands, freelancers and small businesses. In this podcast, I want to talk about success, but not in the traditional sense. I want to bring you conversations that discuss success, what it means, and how there are many different versions. We're going to be talking about business, branding, becoming visible, saying no, saying yes, and how you can create a thriving portfolio career doing more of what you love and less of what you don't. Sometimes there can be a certain mystery around the online world, so I'm going to be asking my guests how they started and grew, how they get paid, how they stand out, and how they create success on their terms. As always, please check the show notes for all things we mention and come and say hi over on social media at Nicky Raby or via my website nickyraby.com/podcast. In today's episode, I've got not one person, but two people, a man and wife couple partnership who are Natalie and Dan from Fred and Noah. And if you know them from Instagram, they've got a gorgeous children's brand. And I was so interested to talk to them because they work together. And previous to this business, they'd had very separate careers. And I wanted to know how that works as in a relationship, as in a working partnership, and also being parents at the same time. And as you'll hear from the episode, they were so candid and shared lots of things, and I think you'll find it really useful as well. Another thing I just want to tell you before we hop in is to come over to Instagram. Come and join the conversation. There's always lots of chats about the episode. And also you can come along to my Facebook group, Dreaming and Doing with Nicky Raby. And I've had a new website done, which has been very nice. So if you want to come and see the brand new version, go to nickyraby.com and the podcast page is always there, nickyraby.com/podcast. I think that's more than enough links for now, but I would love to get to know you more, so feel free to come over and say hi as well. Here's the episode. Hello, I have a special treat today. I have a man and a wife today. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hi.
Hello. Hi. This is my first interviewing two people, so this is exciting. Can we just start by introducing yourselves and what you do in your business?
Yeah, sure. Shall I go first?
You go first.
My name's Natalie Reynolds, and I am co-director of Fred and Noah.
And I'm Dan Reynolds, and I fill out all the gaps that Nat doesn't.
Brilliant, excellent. And so take us, I know you started in 2014. Will you take us back to how it all began?
Yeah, so I was on my maternity leave with my second son, Freddie. He's now 4. And it was kind of a mix, really. I was really frustrated with what was on offer in the shops for him. I didn't really want to dress him in skinny jeans and, grey joggers. That didn't really excite me.
Yeah.
The girls section in the shops was, twice as big as the boys section. And I just found this, a bit unfair. So that kind of coupled with my desire to start sewing again, because that was my background, I made a pair of baby leggings for him. And it just really quickly spiraled from there. Friends wanted them for their babies and started making them for friends and selling them. And then decided that actually we're onto something here. So I opened up an Etsy shop. And that started doing really well, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I was kind of juggling that in the evenings while I went back to work teaching. Working, in the day as a teacher, coming home, trying to do the mum stuff, and then working on the business in the evening.
Wow.
Dan had taken parental leave to look after the kids in the day, because we decided with our second son that we didn't want to pay the humongous childcare costs,
Yeah.
So it was a juggle to start with, juggling the job and doing that in the evening. And then it got to a point, I think it was
6 weeks it was.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow, is that all? My goodness.
Yeah, it happened
But that wasn't success. It was 6 weeks till we made the decision that we were going to try and make something of it.
Yeah, like we'd realised that actually we're onto something here, and it's quite special, in the early days. So we really we focused on it, didn't we?
6 weeks, and I said to you, let's swap back, because you can earn what we need to survive, and I'll go back to work.
Yeah.
And that was then when we decided to make the switch, wasn't it? That you were going to stay at home.
Yeah.
And I'd go back to work.
And was that quite an obvious sort of conversation to have, or was it like a couple of weeks of nobody really saying anything, and then it got to a point where it's like, okay, we've now got to face this head on?
Well, for me, I felt guilty being at home looking after Freddie whilst Nat was working in the week and I was working weekends, and I felt guilty. So as soon as Nat was in a position where we could earn enough to swap the roles, I said straight away, well, look, you give up your job, you work on the business in the daytime, and I'll go back to work full time. So we did that, and in the time Nat worked her notice, which was 3 months.
Yeah, I worked my notice.
And then it was quite obvious then that it was too much for one person to do. So we decided to then sort of take the plunge that we both worked on the business.
So Dan didn't go back to work.
No.
I quit my job. And then that was the beginning of it, really, of us working together on the business full time.
And had you ever thought about running a business beforehand? Had it ever been like a thing where you were like at 21, like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if? Or was it just, did it just kind of pop up?
I left uni. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach. And I did. I was, really successful. I had a really great career. I was a fashion lecturer for over 11 years. And that's what I wanted to do. I loved it. But it wasn't until having my second son, there was kind of a gap somewhere. I needed to do something different. Perhaps it was a need to be at home. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
A need to be creative again, definitely.
Yeah.
I think you'd had enough of teaching, hadn't you?
Yeah.
You'd kind of got on top. You'd got to sort of...
Fell out of love with it a little bit.
Course leader, and it was less teaching, more paperwork, and you just had enough.
Yeah. So, just sort of thought I'd try my hand at it, really. I mean, I'm kind of qualified.
Yes, exactly. And it's not like you're going, oh, I think I'll make cars on the weekend.
Exactly,
it was something that was in a similar vein.
Yeah.
And how did that success happen so quickly? What did you do? Or did you, were there certain things that you tried and they just kind of were pulled off straight away? How did you build that momentum?
It wasn't that quick, was it? We had to work very hard.
We did, yeah.
It wasn't like open it, like wallop, bang. It wasn't like that. It was.
I suppose from the outside it looks like.
It looks like it, but no, we worked really hard. We made all the right decisions at the right times, and it just slowly grew.
And we didn't. Yeah, sorry, go on.
No.
We didn't take any risks either. We didn't get any business loans. There was no business plan written. Everything that we bought was out of our own money, but we bought small.
Yeah.
We made orders fast to get them out quickly to make sure customers were happy, and that's the way we did things.
Yeah.
It was very risk free. I didn't quit my job until we were making enough money. We didn't buy, thousands of meters of fabric because we knew we just didn't need that at that time. We
were fortunate that I had, although I was working weekends, I'd always had my own company. I just scaled down my work for weekends, so we had a company that we could, in effect, change the use of, but we had everything set up there, didn't we?
Yeah.
So it worked. So everything just fell into place.
That's really refreshing to hear, because I think sometimes people can assume that you have to go all in immediately, and you have to have that moment where you go, right, that's it, I'm leaving, and then I'm going to follow this dream. And actually hearing, because also as well, you've got two boys in the mix as well, so things need to still sort of keep fairly consistent for them, and life goes on. There's all the glamour of running your own business, but everybody needs feeding 3 times a day as well.
We were really cautious in the early days, weren't we? I probably could have quit my job earlier than I did. Dan was always telling me, now's the time, but I'm really...
You did hang on for a little while.
I did hang on. I'm not great with change, but no, I think to proceed with caution if you're going to do something like that is always best.
Well, a lot of your friends started businesses, didn't they, after, and just thought, oh, we'll have a bit, and they quit their jobs and jumped into running their own business, but they didn't build anything up before, and it caused problems.
And how did it start that you both started working together? What was that point that things began to change?
So it was when I decided to quit my job. We realised, didn't we, that it was a 2-person job. I could no longer, cut all of the leggings myself and make them and wrap them up all by myself. I just couldn't keep up with the orders. So I quickly trained up Dan on how to lay and cut fabric. And
I've been doing a bit of that in the evening, hadn't I, to help anyway.
And we just very quickly slipped into our own roles. So Dan would cut all of the orders and hand them over to me to make them. And at this time, we were actually working in the dining room.
And at night time as well.
Yeah, so literally we'd have dinner with the family, sort the kids out, bath them, put them to bed, and then kind of get all of our work equipment out onto the dining table.
Wow.
We used to lay a piece of cloth on the dining table so to not get any of the kids' chicken nuggets
on the table
onto the work, and then literally set up a studio every night, and then finish at around midnight, pack it all down again, ready for breakfast in the morning.
Yeah.
And we did that for months, didn't we?
Oh, it was probably a year.
Yeah, until we realised we're going to need a little bit of a premises.
Yeah. How did you keep going through those times, or was it sort of did you just kind of not question it, that you were like, well, this is what we're doing, and sort of, because I know myself, like sometimes I put my son to bed and I know that I've got a stack of emails that I need to get through and do stuff, and sometimes it's the last thing you feel like doing, but you know that it's got to be done. What kept you motivated? Did you know the big picture that you were trying to build as a family?
I think for me, I just loved it. I was absolutely loving it. I was high on adrenaline of this business that was just growing, and it didn't faze me. It wasn't an issue to work that hard at the start because I loved it. I mean, what about you?
I don't like letting people down.
Yeah.
So if the idea of people have made orders and they want their orders, well, I'm not sleeping until they've got them. Don't like letting people down, so we won't. So it didn't matter how late we had to work; it had to be done.
And we knew we were building a brand, and it had to be right on all levels.
Yeah, everything has to be perfect. Yeah. So if something's got to give, it's got to be sleep, isn't it?
That's really interesting in sort of like building a brand. Did you know what you were building in the beginning? Did you know that you just wanted to start with one thing and then build, or had you had any sort of experience before of how to do that? Because I think your aesthetic and your design and everything that you put out there, there's such a thread and it's really recognizable. How did you know how to do that?
I guess that came in the career that I had before this. So teaching fashion design, marketing and branding kind of was there in terms of, knowing about those kinds of things, but never put it into practice for myself before.
You had the skills, but the trend of everything we do is your taste, isn't it? So you've got the skills to put everything in place, and the rest of it is just your mind. Just
choosing the right fabrics, I guess, and
it's not just the fabrics, though, is it? It's your choice of colours and how you put the website together. It's your choice. It's what you like. Everyone else likes it. It's handy.
Yeah, there's loads of the people that like it. they're all on your Instagram. It's brilliant. Which brings me on to like, how important has social media been for you? I mean, clearly, quite important.
Yeah. If we didn't have it, I don't think we'd exist.
No. Not.
We started on Facebook. We didn't even join Instagram for the first year of business. I avoided it. It was something that my students used, and I just kind of pretended I knew what it was.
I remember when you started Instagram and you started to like it, and you said, like, Instagram's brilliant. I love Instagram. It's all pictures. I love it. It's so much more interactive.
And it must have been the Instagram of being going, where have you been? You're finally here. We've been waiting to embrace you.
Well, I remember when we got to 100 followers and I had like a mini celebration in the kitchen. I was over the moon.
How many followers did we hit yesterday morning, huh?
We just hit 76,000.
75 yesterday morning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And how does that feel? And how did that happen?
I think just being consistent, I think, is really important on our feed. High quality pictures. they're high quality products, so the pictures have to match.
Yeah. And it has to be, the feed has to, it has to be a feed, it has to work in unison.
And I don't plan ahead of what we're going to post. It is literally do the school run, come home, put the kettle on, and then while the kettle's boiling, I'm usually trying to decide what it is that I'm going to post that day. I don't plan ahead.
Well, because it looks very curated, so that's lovely that you've also got that freedom as well to go, actually, we're going to post this because it's much more fitting with what's going on in the world or whatever.
Yeah. I think it's better to be that way.
But some mornings we can be sat at a table for 20 minutes thinking,
trying to decide.
I want to do that, I want to post that. We haven't really got much going stock, we can't post that. So it's, we just pick every day what to choose.
Brilliant. And how important have stories been in the mix as well?
Yeah, that's quite a new thing for us. We've only been using them probably in the last 6 months, I guess. Yeah, I love stories. I think anything that we want to say or post that we can't do on the main feed, we just use stories for.
And it's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
But it's not permanent. It's great.
And I think for us, for stories, we try to use that to kind of show people the people behind the brand.
Yeah, 100%, don't we?
Yeah. Sometimes, at the weekend, that might be pictures of us out with the kids, or mostly it's just us at work goofing around.
Yeah.
Having a lovely time. How does it work, kind of working together? Do you have any sort of rules that have helped you sort of work more efficiently, or do you have times where you're like work talk is banned, or how do you make it work between you?
Work talk's never banned.
We love it, don't we?
We love it.
Every dinner after the kids finish their dinner and leave the table, me and Nat sort of end up having a business meeting every night, really, over the table, just talking about what we're doing.
Just
it's our life, isn't
catch up on the day and what we know we need to do tomorrow. But we've each got our own roles in the business. It's completely 50-50. A lot of people assume that it's mostly me and Dan's in the background printing your T-shirt. But actually it's 100%, it's 50-50 down the line. I get called mumpreneur quite a lot, and I find that quite frustrating. Because
it's a weird spelling, and it's like, what does it actually mean? Because you never we called that as a guy, probably a manpreneur. But have you brought on additional staff since you've grown?
Yeah. So we've got Charlotte and Corinne that work for us, and they work in our packing room, so they pack all of the orders. Oh, we've got an admin assistant that does all of our online work, Suzanne. She's fantastic. She's based up in Scotland. So she's like 500 miles away from us. But she's such an asset to our business. She keeps everyone happy online for us on our Facebook page.
That's great. And what sort of tips would you give to other couples who might go, actually, our situation could be better, or we want to work in a different kind of way for our family, or, life, whether you have children or not? What sort of tips would you give that would be helpful in terms of, even if it's like, just don't do that, whatever you do?
Definitely take it slow. Don't jump into anything with 2 feet, because you've got your family to feed. If all of a sudden you decide, I'm going to do this, and you jump in and it doesn't work, you're in big trouble, aren't you? So definitely take things slow. If you want to make changes to your life, do them slowly.
And I think, if you're going to work together with your partner, it's really important that you set out, each other's roles. So you've each got your own job, so it doesn't cross over. Yeah. I would hate it if Dan started doing the things that I'm in charge of.
Don't tread on each other's toes. But by all means, delegate jobs to each other. I think my job load seems to be getting bigger lately. So can you do this? I don't do that, and you do now.
Yes, I did that in 2014, but I don't do that in 2018. Thanks. We've moved on. I think you're so right, because I think it's one of those things like when you're both trying to cook dinner or something, when somebody's like standing over you, you're like, who's making this sandwich? Like, it's, you don't want that backseat driver type situation. As we're recording this, you got a shout out last night from a celebrity for McCann. How important has that brand awareness or promoting via other social media channels been for your brand and business?
It's crucial, really. I mean, we can't, as a small business, we can't afford to pay to be in magazines, and, Facebook ads, you can only reach so many people. So having those high profile, accounts and people shout about your brands, it's
brilliant. She's got 2.1 million.
Yeah, Fern's got 2.2 million followers, I think. And it's just, I think overnight we've received...
It was about 1,500.
Yeah, new followers.
Wow.
It matters. And also, it's kind of like, it's more of an endorsement because it's personal to them. It's their feed. It's not them getting paid to do it, say, for an advert. It's actually something that they would use for their children, in our sense. And I think people think, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. They're doing it, we'll do it. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Have any sort of rules worked for you in terms of sending product out? Because I know a lot of my coaching clients, they've got small businesses and they create product, or, they have a service that they want people to shout about. Has there been anything in terms of the process that has really worked for you in terms of making that work effectively?
So do you mean having rules in who we choose to work with?
Yeah, I guess who you choose to work with and sort of how you make it worth your while, I guess, that you don't want to just send stuff to people, then you're like, no, never heard from them, or is it a risky game? I don't know.
I think, I get DMs on Instagram every day, probably 10 to 20 from bloggers or, just people with accounts or people that have just got kids asking if I can send them free stuff. And, in return, they'll, talk about our brand, which is, so, it's nice that they want to, do that for us. But as a business, and that's what it comes down to, whatever I send out, I am paying for.
Yeah.
I have to make a decision about whether it's going to pay off for us or not. So generally, if we're going to send something out for free, it's going to be to someone that's either famous that we like.
Yeah, so you've got to like them. That's probably
key.
The biggest part.
There's been some famous people that have approached us that we've kindly ignored.
There's been some
politely ignored. But we have to like them, and they have to have enough followers for it to pay for us.
It could be nice people, haven't they?
Yeah.
We only work with nice people. I think that's...
Oh, that is so important. It really is. I feel like that with my coaching clients. I mean, generally I do get lovely people, but I think I think that's the beauty of having a small business, that you can actually make it work in a way that works for you, and you set the rules and regulations, as it were. What has is there anything that's really helped you sort of outside to push your business forward in terms of, I don't know, seminars or technology or things that have just made things a bit more efficient and easy?
The apps.
Yeah, I mean, the whole business is run from my phone. Mostly, with the exception of the sewing machines and everything else, but all the technology is just there. So I use a lot of apps. There's a lot of apps on my phone that I need for the business, like photo editing apps and such. That's it, really.
No seminars.
We haven't really been to any.
You spoke at a couple of seminars, haven't you? But
brilliant.
Yeah.
She's gone very red.
Oh no, but it's great. It's so good, and I think sometimes people go, it really shows, how good you are at what you do and your sense of character and sense of self, because I think sometimes people can feel like they have to do all of the things, like go to a workshop or go buy a course or read 9 more books, and then they'll be ready. But actually it can come down to, you just have to start and test and move forward in that way. Yeah,
and just, trust your gut, and go with it. And if it's right, then just keep going with it. If it's not, then make some changes.
Definitely. Yeah. Has there been anything that's worked in terms of family life organisation that you've now had to put in place since you've had the business?
Well,
I don't know. I mean, we only work school hours, so we drop the kids off. We're back home by 9. And we work right up until the school pick up at 3, and then sometimes we don't work many evenings now. We've kind of tried to get a bit of balance back in our lives, but if we have to work in the evenings, it's when the kids are in bed.
Yeah,
and we stick by that. Weekends are ours as a family. We don't work. We try not to talk about work.
Yeah, and that's a new thing, really, isn't it? Within the last year, is when
And
we're taking on more staff, so we can spend more time with the kids, essentially.
Yeah, and that's really lovely as well, because you're getting out and about and you're getting inspired, and you can bring all of those things back into that business. I think Anna Whitehouse's campaign of, flexible working and things like that is so important, that you don't necessarily need to spend the 8 hours at your desk to show that you're working really hard. You can go out and about and then work more efficiently when you're actually there.
Yeah, I agree.
Because otherwise you can just faff around looking at YouTube videos or things like that. I've got one final question for you, which is, where would you like to be in 5 years' time with the business, in life? Now, do you want to go first?
Oh my goodness.
I'm pulling out the big ones today.
I would love to be stocked in like John Lewis or something like that. I think for me that would be a real career high for me. Yeah. What about you?
I'm not going to answer that question. I've got my own goals, and they're mine and my own, I think.
Oh God, you're going to be revealing them all later. Like going, I didn't know you needed a Ferrari. What?
He's not having a Ferrari.
I'm not into cars.
Yeah, you could design the interiors. You could make some kind of nice cloth, cotton situations with all the seats.
I didn't know cars. I forgot what I was going to say. I think Dan and I were saying the other day actually that if business stayed as it is now forever, we'd both be happy with that. Oh. We're at a point now where we are so happy with the business model, aren't we? That
and we'd certainly like to be known as just a brand, not just for baby leggings, for all things that you can go to, and no matter what you get there, it's going to be the best. It's going to last. That's what we want, really. Is just to be known for being the best at what we do and doing more of it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I feel like I've learned so much as well. And poor Matt, my partner, I'll go in the other room and be like, right, we're starting a business. We're doing it. we're getting a food truck. Let's go. We'd be like, oh no, another idea. Oh, blimey. If people want to come and find out more about you guys, where should they go?
So you can see us on Instagram. We're at Fred and Noah, or our website is fredandnoah.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I know so many people are going to love this, and I bet I'm going to get loads of messages of like, I've done it, I've retired my husband, I've handed in his notice, and off we go. So
caution.
Yeah, slowly but surely. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I would love to hear what you thought of the episode and share any takeaways with me. Come and find me across social media at Nicky Raby, or you can visit the podcast page, nickyraby.com/podcast.